Hello everybody, my name is Christina Holloman and that's what you will find me on Facebook as and here on YouTube. I'm also known as Mom to 10 Kids on Instagram. Anyways, I'm here today making my very first video because this summer, back in July, I went to a paper crafting event that was amazing. So amazing. It was called Paperganza, and it's put on by Craft Roulette and Pear Blossom Press. Whoa, that was a lot of fun. F-U-double-N. If you know, you know. If you don't know, go watch Craft Roulette on YouTube on Friday nights. Anyways, at that event, we did a card swap, and I made a card. And I knew I wanted to make an amazing card. And so back in January or February, I started searching the YouTube videos and stuff, and I came across a YouTube group called Mitosu Crafts, or Mitosu, I'm not sure, it's M-I-T-O-S-U Crafts, by Barry Selwood and Jay Soriano. And Barry showed us what he called a double side pop-out card. Now, what that card showed was the mechanism to do half of what's in here. So this is the card I ended up making for Paperganza. And I think it's wow. This is it. So it has a pop-up in the middle, and it has two sliding pop-ups on the side. The sliding thing on the side is what Barry showed how to make, but it was only on one side. So I wanted to figure out how to make it do both sides. And then I wanted to cover up all of the mechanisms so you couldn't see it at all, and it was just like a little mini card on the inside. So anyways, so this is the card, one of the 144 cards that I made for Paperganza. And I recently made another one. This one right here. This was for Craft Roulette also, for one of their weekly challenges. And it does the same thing. And I just love this design so much. It's just so fun. It sounds awesome too. Doesn't that sound great? Okay, so we're just going to get straight into it. And like I said, we're only going to do the mechanism. I'm not actually making a card with all of the backgrounds. So this card has a background layer here. It has backgrounds on this part. And they're actually ephemera, so to speak, on all of these parts. I'm just going to show you the basic shapes and how to make the mechanism and to get it to work. So let's get started. First, of course, we're going to need a card base. Standard A2 size, American A2, 8.5 by 5.5, scored down the middle at 4 1/4. And that's, you know, very basic. By the way, I am using, for this card, I'm using a cardstock, let's see here, it's Recollections, it's 65 pound, 175 GSM. I am not sure how well it's going to work because when I originally made this card, I used a paper called Harmony Hues, and it is a sturdy paper. This is one sheet. It's like standing, you know, it's thick. 300 GSM, 110 pound. This is a lot thicker than any of my other 110 pounds. So I don't know what it is that makes that so stiff, but it's great for this card just being not bendy at all. So we're going to see how this one works, because this does make it a really thick card, and when it's folded, that is thicker than 1/4 inch, so you do have to pay extra postage if you're mailing it. So I highly recommend that this just be a card that you hand to somebody. Okay, let's get started. So we got the card base, and then what we're going to need is the mechanisms. The main mechanism is two pieces of 5 inches by 1.5 inches. And then we're going to need the little pop outs, which are these pieces right here. So the back mat is 1 3/4 inch squared. So and then I put a little 1.5 inch squared mat top ephemera piece, because in the other cards you could see that they have, that had something else on there. So just so that it gives it a little bit more sturdiness for this. But so yeah, that's that. But the max here is 1 3/4 inch. And then for the top part to cover it, we're going to use a 4 3/4 by 5 inches. And then I did get one piece of patterned paper. This is going to be the little pop-up that's in the center here, this part right here. So just so I can show you how to put that on also. And then these are for this piece also. So let's get started on scoring. So you're going to take your 2 mechanism pieces and we're going to score them exactly the same. It's fairly straightforward. We're going to do, first we're going to flip it over to its back side. And we're going to make the first score at 1 1/4. 1 1/4. So 1 1/4. So we're going to do a score right there. And then we're going to flip it over and do the rest of the scores on this side. The first one is at 1/2 inch. And then the next one at 4 1/4. And then you're going to take your pen and you're going to mark where the 2 inch line is. And I should have marked this on my, there we go. Yeah, on my other scoreboard I have it marked, so I didn't think about marking this one. Here, I'm going to put a little mark in there right now, just so I know where it is next time. Okay, so I put a mark at the 2 inches, and then I also actually put a mark at the 1/2 inch where I've already scored it, and that just helps to put in this next line, this next score mark, which is we're going to take it from this corner to the diagonally other corner. And so I'm just lining that up on my scoreboard, holding it down firmly and putting a score right there. Then we're going to rotate it and do it again on the other side. So just line up the ends into that track and score it. Now how we're going to fold this is everything gets a mountain fold except for that first one we did. So this is a mountain fold. Mountain fold. Mountain fold. And you'll want to make sure that these get a really good press down. And a mountain fold on this one. When I do this one, I try to make sure that it's actually lined up there, just to know that I did a good job on putting the score in the right place. So what I mean is this edge should line up right at that crease. And this one, it seems like it's a little off, so I'm just going to kind of pull it a little so it lines up a little bit better. And then this last one we're going to flip over and do it this way, so that is technically a valley fold. So now, once we have all of our folds in, you should be able to pinch this part right here and just kind of scrunch it down, make sure it all lines up, and give it a good press down again. So again, that's just mountain, 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 and then this was a valley. and then we push it all together and it makes this little arrow type shape. So we'll go ahead and do it again real quick with this one. So we'll turn it over and score on the back side at 1 1/4. Flip it over, score at 4 1/4, 1/2 inch, and then we're going to mark at that 1/2 inch that we just scored and at the 2-inch mark. And then we're going to line that up on, I just line the very end of the marks up and just score it, rotate it, line it up, and score it. Okay, mountain, mountain. Okay, valley. And let's see here, we got mountain going this way. That looks pretty good. And a mountain going this way. Okay, so now we should be able to just kind of fold this one in. And see how it's not quite lined up right there? We're going to line that up. Just kind of squish it over a little until it all gets there. And when I made 288 of these because I made 144 cards for Paperganza. I ended up, and that cardstock, like I said, was really, really thick. So this was actually very fat. I actually I just finger folded it like I just did. But the creasing part, I didn't do. I actually ran it through my Spellbinder Scout with the embossing mat. And that did a great job. And it was super fast and did a wonderful crease. I just had to make sure that I had everything lined up when it went into the machine. Okay, so now the only other thing that we need to put a score line in is this one, and this is the top one, and it is 4 3/4 by 5 inches. So on the 4 3/4 inch side, we're going to score it in half, and since it's already in quarters, that means that one of our measurements is going to be in eighths, and so we're going to do 2 3/8. That's one mark over from the quarter, so 2 3/8. Oops, I got off there a little bit. Don't like it when I do that. And normally I would have scored that on that side and folded them this way, but oh well, I did it on the wrong side. Anyway, so we're just going to fold that in half. Now, if you were doing paper for this, I would cut it at, I would cut one piece at 4 1/2. So 4 1/4, at 4 1/4, and then I would fold that piece in half and cut that piece in half, and it will, or cut a little bit more off of on the sides, but it will come up to very close here and not give you a lot of borders, but just like I did here. So it's very close to the edges, or you can do the math and figure out, but you're going to be cutting a 1/16, and yeah, nobody likes to cut those. So anyways, let's go ahead and put this together. So first we're going to need let's put this away. So first we're going to need our card base, and we're going to need a ruler. And we're going to need a ruler because I want to place these on here so that they meet at the center. So I'm going to take my ruler and mark a little spot So this is 5.5, so 2 3/4 is the halfway mark. And I'm just going to put a little mark on there. And this doesn't matter because it's not going to show up on your card because it's all going to get covered up with these. Okay, so now we have 2 pieces here. So, oh, by the way, I have created a little PDF, and hopefully when I release this video, I will have actually the card base in there instead. But it's a little diagram of what I'm showing you right now. So hopefully that will be helpful. And hopefully I can figure out how to do that because I'm not sure how to do it right now, but I'll figure it out. I'll ask one of my crafty friends to help me out. Okay, so back to this. Now we're going to, one goes here and one goes here. So they're going to go on here like this, actually more like this. Okay, so this is the basic way we're going to put them on. And what I start with is I usually do the top first, and we're just going to glue it just a smidge above that. Not right on the line, but just a, you know, a smidge above it. And I'm really going to butt this up right against this, right against the fold line. Now, when I had this really thick cardstock, I actually trimmed a little edge off there just because this bump was so big and it helped it fold out better. So anyways, so in this piece, it's going to go like this so that this is up here. So we're going to put glue on this part. So here we go. We're getting started. Yeah, I want a little bit more because I want to make sure it gets all stuck down. All right, and also I want a little bit more just so I can have a little bit of movement. So we're going to put that down, and then I like to take my ruler and butt it up against there, right there. And when I lay this down, hopefully it's going straight across. It looks like it's going pretty straight across, so I'm going to open this back up. Before I'm not really pressing down on this yet. I pressed a little bit, but not hard. And then I'm going to put glue on this tab. And I'm going to kind of open this up, and keeping this down, I'm going to put, kind of like keep this down like this. Now I'm going to press down, and then I'm going to gently pick this up, and I'm going to fold it. And you may feel a little bit of movement when you fold it, but it should fold completely flat. And back open, back close, back open, and there we go. So we have one of them installed. And actually, this paper did actually a lot better than I thought it was going to. Okay, so next one. The next one is going on the other side. So this one, the pop outs on this side up here. Now you can reverse it. If you wanted your pop outs over here on this side and down here, you could do that. Just reverse. This one goes below and this one goes up here. But anyways, I'm going to put this one right here and do exactly the same thing, but just in the opposite direction. And so line it up there, line my ruler up, okay, I think that's good, and then put glue on this part. And like I said at the beginning of this video, this is my very first video, so please, grace. Okay, I'm going to press that down, and now we're going to hopefully close it and squeeze it. Okay. Oops, I did not put that on. I meant to make sure that when I scored it that I noted what side I was doing first, and I didn't. Oops. Anyways, I just wrote down the measurements to help remind me as I'm doing the video what I'm doing and all of that. Now, this next part, we are going to put down these parts next. Because we don't want to put this part down on until we've got these on, because this part covers this up and it would be very hard to do that. So what we're going to do is, there is a little triangle right here. This is the triangle we're putting glue on. This is for the upper one. Then this little triangle right here is the one we're doing for the glue for the bottom one on this side. Okay, it's not a huge space. And then on this side, it's the opposite ones. So we're putting glue on this one, and we're putting glue on this one. So we have the big triangle here, big space, another little triangle on the insides. The inside triangles do not get glue. It's just the outside little triangles. And we're actually going to just put glue on that spot, because then we'll just place this down. When we place these, we want to get them close to each other. So they're actually going to go up maybe a little bit higher, not much, you know, like right at the dot. But I am going to put them on the inside. So this is where the bump is right here. That's the bump. I am going to put it right on the outside of that. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like there when I get the glue on. So let's put the glue on, and you want to make sure you do not go over the crease lines, the fold lines. Okay, so I'm going to place this one down, lining it up. Place this one down, lining it up. And then I have this very heavy weight. I don't know where I got it. One of my kids, I guess. And I like to put it on it while we're making the other side. Okay, the other side we're going to do is same thing. We're just going to put some glue here. Nice good amount, because this is going to be under a lot of stress. And so we want it to be able to hold well. But we also want to be careful that we don't get glue over the edge, like I just did. Okay, so we're going to put one right there and one right there. And remember, this is the crease line right here. You can still see it. That's the score line, I should say. You can still see it. Now I'm going to put this over here so it gets a little bit of pressure, and I'm going to just kind of lift that up and see how it's doing. Okay, it looks like it's already dried. So while I'm going to set this aside up here for a little bit while we do this next part, because I forgot to score this part, and this next part we need to do before. So this part we are going to score at, this piece is 3.5 by 3.5, and we're just going to score it in half, which is 1 3/4, and both sides. So 1 3/4 on both sides. And then we're going to decide which of these corners you want to be the top. And I think I like this to be the top for this particular one. And we're going to line the top point and the bottom point up in your score line and because this is going in as a diamond, not as a square. So, and I should have scored that on the other side, but it doesn't matter. We're just, you know, it's okay. We'll live with it. So anyways, so yeah, this is gonna, actually what I should have done was the first 2 scores should have been on the other side. But anyways, we're going to fold this in half with the pretty side out. And then we're going to fold it in half, following those score lines that we made in both directions. And I just like to line it up in here, so if I didn't quite get it in half, it's still. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take those 2 there and fold it and close it like that. Okay, so now we got this, woohoo, working. We're going to install it into this piece. And in this piece, it's going to go this way, and you'll notice that if we put it in this way, it pretty much goes from top to bottom. It can be a little bit off, depending on how you cut it and stuff, but it will hang over here. And if you don't like that hangover, it's not going to hang over. I mean, if it hung over here, if it hung over in this card, it would just be a little, for me, I cut it off because it will be a little point hanging over right there and right there. And I just think that's a little annoying. So I opted to do a corner cut on it. And you could do all 4 corners, or I personally like the point at the top. So I'm just going to get my corner cutter out here and just cut the 2 sides that have no crease in it. The 2 little squares that have no crease in it. So we can not have it hang over. So, okay. And to glue this down, what I usually do is I line up the point at the top and the bottom, evenly spaced, and then I just press and hold this and close it without moving it. And then I also like to take this and really smash down that point. And then I'm going to put some glue all over this, which is kind of fun to do with your finger, holding it and trying not to move it at all, like I just did. So what we're going to do again is see if I can put this down again like this. Okay. So now you know what to do in case it moves on you, because I think that was actually the first time it's ever moved on me. Of course. I mean, I've made 144 of these, and yeah, that was the first time it's ever moved on me. You guys are special. Yay. Okay. So now that we've got it down on one side and it's still lining up, I'm going to close it and glue it down on the other side. And I cannot find my Barely Arts bottle to put in here. The bottle that I have Barely Arts glue in it. So I'm right now using whatever the Nuvo glue that came with it, with my Sweet Petunia, which I won. I was super excited about it because I've always wanted one. Okay, so there we go. And like I said, these points will stick out, but this is only when the card is closed. You're never even going to notice that. You're only going to notice it right now. And so you just want to make sure that, you know, it's doing well. Now, oh, I forgot to mention at the first, if you wanted to, in my other cards, I do have a background on here, so you obviously need to put that on there before you put this mechanism on. And then I have a little ephemera to put on here. It's not, you know, like I said, this is just a demo. And my glue, I didn't set it down right, and it was fighting me. So you just want to put it, you know, put one there. You don't have to. I mean, you could just leave the pop-up, you know, have a really fancy card paper there. You don't really have to put something there. It's totally up to you. But I did cut this at 1.5 inches, mainly because it fits in there nicely, and it's the same size as the these squares right here too. So okay, now let's get back to this for a second. Okay, our first fold, once we got these in here, one thing I forgot to say, sometimes when I was gluing this originally, I would put a piece of paper in here. If I got a lot of glue on there, that way it would get on here, and then just take it out, so that just kind of like protection. But I forgot to do that this time, but it looks like we're good. It looks like we're not glued to the card. So the very first time we fold this up, it is not going to want to do what you want it to do. So you have to train it. So I'm going to pinch. I'm going to take my fingers and pinch right here and right here as I'm pulling it to close together. And once I do that, it should close up nicely. And this one actually looks like, you could probably mail this one. I mean, it's with other background papers and stuff, it's going to be a little bit thicker, but I think this one would work. Okay, so it's working, but it's, as you see, it's kind of like iffy. That will all change as soon as we put this on, because that will make these two parts firm together. And in order to put this on here, we have to get glue in the right spot. The right spot is not over the middle on both sides. So I'm going to take my ruler, line it up right on my crease, my score line, and I'm literally going to draw a line right down that. So that line matches up with my center score line for my card base. And then I am going to put glue on all of this up to the line. That's it. And then on the other side, same thing. All of this gets glue up to the line. That's it. That's what we do. So glue here, glue here, okay. And now this one's, you know, fairly easy to line up. Probably should have showed you before I put the glue on, but I didn't, so this is where we are. So I'm just going to line up the like evenly space here and here, and line up the center lines and press down. So this one's going to be pressed down a little bit up here, and this one's going to be pressed down like right here. And then we're going to fold it. And like I said, you might need to kind of train it a little bit. And I think this card stock is very flimsy. So I think it will definitely need like a front panel and a back panel if you're going to use this card stock. And once I've got that on, it is a little bit thicker. So maybe you would recommend using a much thicker card base like this one is, just for the card base, but it's still working. Look at that, guys. It's still working. It's working. If you do use a thicker card stock, I forgot to tell you that. So before I put these on, if you notice these corners, I just kind of took each piece and kind of like went like this and kind of just burnished it up. Probably should have done that with this because it would help it slide a little bit better. But you just kind of tip up the corners, and that just helps it to, when it starts to slide, to want to slide in instead of pushing it out. But anyways, that's my mechanism that I'm calling Double Fanfare, because it's a fanfare over here and a fanfare over here. Double fanfare. Actually, there's kind of a fanfare in the center too, but yeah, he's just taking second fiddle because he's not all that special. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section and I will answer them as best as I can. All right. Thanks, you guys, and have a great day.